video number 2 now, so I'm just talking to you today about my conversation with a social worker that I had over Microsoft Teams. So, one of the big issues that came up was my future care needs. And as I was saying in my previous video, currently my dad does my cleaning for me and fills out forms, including benefit forms, bills, and all those other things, which I cannot do because my executive functioning skills are really poor, which is part of my autism. And in case people think which is 100% part of my autism, and was indeed put in black and white in a recent cognitive assessment I had. So all the evidence is there. These are things I literally really struggle to do to the point of incapacity because of my autism, because of my disability. This is nothing to do with laziness. I am not a lazy person. I constantly feel like I have to explain to these people I'm not a lazy person, because I feel that's internalised ableism, by the way. I shouldn't have to explain it to these people. But you do sometimes feel people are judging you, because that's the default reaction, isn't it? Oh, you could if you tried. It's not going to happen, because I can't do it. I wish I could. I hate being autistic. There's a cure out there, and that can turn my brain on so I could be a normal person and do these things. But there isn't. Anyway, it sucks. So, I was talking to this social worker person about my future care needs, and I said that I think it would be really good that in the future I could use my direct payments, because I get direct payments, which is basically a sum of money you get from social services, where you're supposed to have choice, you're supposed to have personal choice. In theory, at least, we're not, in theory, for lingo goes, this is not social services applying a one-size-fits-all approach. No, we give choice to the consumer, so that the consumer, because it's all capitalism, isn't it? So that the consumer in a competitive market can then go and choose the service that will best meet their needs. Isn't that wonderful? It's free market in social care. Thatcher's dream, isn't it? It's all about choice. Except when it comes to the crunch, there is no choice. As the disabled person will very quickly find out. Apart from I'm too literal, I took them at their word yet again. It always happens. So, anyway, I was talking about future care needs, and I made the point that I would like to spend the money, the direct payments, that apparently I have choice over and personal control over, to buy in the services that will best meet my needs as a disabled person, instead of social services applying a one-size-fits-all blanket approach on every disabled person, irrespective of personal needs. I mean, it sounds really good, doesn't it? I mean, who can oppose that? I mean, it sounds good, right? I mean, I'm fully for personal choice, and, I'm for that. And so what I'm trying to say is I said, well, in the future, obviously, my dad's not going to be always as fit as what he is now to do my cleaning. He's not always going to be, and eventually he will no longer be here. We have to face that. And obviously I'll still have these needs. These needs aren't going to disappear. Support workers have previously helped me with cleaning, but nothing gets done. It's absolutely hopeless. All that happens when a support worker tries to help me do the cleaning is that I get distracted. It takes forever. It eats into time. It actually costs them a lot of money because I work at an absolute snail's pace. I might as well have no one there at all. Nothing gets done. And that's what I said to him. I said, nothing gets done because I can't do it, but they're expecting me to do it. They're not doing it for me. I'm doing it at an absolute snail's pace. It's not that I don't have the skills, it's that I don't have the executive functioning to do it. So a really small amount gets done to the point of it absolutely being, I might as well have not even begun, because pretty much nothing gets done. It's absolutely ridiculous. This eats into time. It's really demotivating, and I might as well be doing something more productive because nothing gets done. So I said it would make far more sense and would save money for them and would be far more beneficial to me if I use my direct payments to employ a cleaner. maybe just to come in every couple of weeks to do a thorough clean. It would only need to be every couple of weeks. I'm not like a fussy person and needs everything to be absolutely spick and span. It's just to ensure that things are staying reasonably clean and aren't posing a health risk. So it would only need to be like every couple of weeks to do like a thorough clean to keep things reasonably tidy. And his initial response was, obviously he doesn't make the decisions, but his initial response, because he's just a social worker, but he said he put it to them, but his initial response was that they might come back and say that this is something that that support worker should be helping me with, that basically it's to ensure that ultimately I can learn the skills to do it so that I become more independent. And then I had to explain to him that this isn't to do with me, I can't remember exactly how I put it, but I had to explain to him that basically it's not a choice for me, it's a fact. I physically cannot do it because of my autism, and that need is not going to change ever. And I said that ultimately it will be a health and safety issue. When I said that, by the way, I noticed the conversation immediately changed. I clearly used the right lingo, health and safety issue. That's when I noticed he started to take me more seriously. But I really had to ram home how actually I'm incapacitated, I can't do it. I had to explain that to him. I shouldn't have to. He did listen though when I said that. And he also said they might come back and say that this is something maybe I could use my PIP or disability benefits on. But I said this is a social care need, and I said there's nothing from what I've read that says that this wouldn't be possible. And I mentioned how blind people can use their money on guide dogs, and how this is like a similar thing, and how there's nothing in there that says that this wouldn't be okay, because this is me buying in a service which the government says is what direct payments is all about. And I said it's personal choice, and he said, yeah, in theory, he said, but it's also about what they say you can do with money and blah, blah, blah. Again, and I said, oh, I took it too literally then, yeah. Took it too literally. Yeah, I'm autistic, what do you expect? Of course I'm going to take it bloody literally. But I mean, seriously, they say you have personal choice. It's absolutely ridiculous. You don't have personal choice. Crap. No, you don't have personal choice. It's all about costs and money and savings and cutbacks, and they use that language in the hope of conning people. It's sick. It's an absolute lie. Seriously, if someone could explain the system to me, do please explain it, because I am struggling. Anyway, to do him credit, he did say that he would go back and talk to them about it, and I also said it would help me in future if I could use the direct payments to employ a disability solicitor every couple of years to do my benefit forms for me, because again, I physically cannot do them. But he also said he was going to see if there are any other providers, because obviously they always look at costs to see what the most cost-effective solution is, and maybe get some other providers that could do my benefit forms for me. I did again say how stressed it makes me and that I need someone to actually do it for me, as opposed to just helping me with it. And this is what annoys me. They always come out with this whole independence crap about like trying to help you become more independent, because the thing that capitalism hates is dependency, right? That's the word they use, by the way. He didn't use that word, but it has been used before. You mustn't become too dependent on services. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. I mean, that is the ultimate crime, isn't it? Not only are you disabled, but you're becoming too dependent on services. I mean, if someone isn't disabled, right, lots of people do online shopping, don't they? Are they becoming too dependent on services because they can't get up their arse and go down to the shop? No one says they're getting too dependent on services. But if you're disabled, oh my God, and you have the temerity to say that you want to spend your direct payments on a cleaner, you're becoming too dependent on services, right? So can someone explain to me this glaring double standard between the fact that normal people don't get judged and yet disabled people get judged? Can someone explain that? Because I'm struggling. I really don't get it. Someone can explain it to me, please do, because it's... All I can think is that, it's to do with this what am I trying to say? Can't think straight when I'm a bit angry. This is why I'm doing this video, by the way, because I wanted to get this off my system, because it's kind of pissing me off. Society hates disabled people, that's what I was going to say, because it's true. Or at least it's how you're made to feel. You're always judged constantly. I had to spend half an hour trying to, I felt like I had to spend half an hour. I don't know whether he was judging me, but I can never tell. So I spent about half an hour trying to show how productive I am, because I felt I needed to come across as a good disabled person. Now, anyone listening to this, please, I do not buy into that capitalist shit about there being good disabled and bad disabled people. I do not buy it. But I still felt I had to spend half an hour trying to show how productive I am and how much voluntary work I do and stuff to show that I'm a good disabled person and that I'm deserving. I felt I had to do that because of internalised ableism. I'm not proud to admit this, but this is what life is like as a disabled person. You constantly are having to justify yourself to prove that you're deserving and that you're not a shirker. You shouldn't have to do that, but you do. It's very degrading. But that is how capitalism, that is the capitalist ideology that unfortunately we internalise. We cannot help it, it just happens. So yeah, I did have to kind of prove I'm not lazy. I shouldn't even have to tell him I'm not lazy. But I know for a fact that people don't understand autism needs. Executive functioning impairment gets mistaken for laziness. You have to explain that this is not a choice. You have to explain. Okay, to put it another way, right? You know all this stuff about dependency, which is only ever used against disabled people, because let's put it this way, no one is completely independent, and like normal people are often dependent on others. They often get cleaners in, and they often like do online shopping. He has online shopping himself, he admitted it. Lots of people do. I could say to him, oh, are you becoming dependent on online shopping? I wouldn't say that, because that'd be rude. But because I'm a disabled person, as soon as I say I physically can't do the cleaning and like stuff like that and I need a cleaner, you're accused of like basically not being independent enough. And no other person, so it is actually ableism, basically. It's treating disabled differently, because it's a crime to be disabled. So if you're disabled, you mustn't be too dependent on services. The reason they say that, by the way, is because they want to make savings. They don't want to spend too much money on disabled people. Because, you know, it's the weakest link, isn't it? They want to cut services. And unfortunately, disabled people don't have a union to fight back. If you're not in work. And also, the other thing, right, if you're physically disabled, like say for the sake of argument, yeah, you're stuck in bed and you actually cannot get out of bed and you need someone to take you out of bed, as some people do, or like for really old people or frail people to be moved around in bed so they don't get bed sores, and stuff like that, or if someone like needs help to go to the toilet, no one will say, oh, you need to do that to be independent, we're going to withdraw all of this essential support, this person is incapacitated, they physically can't do that, but oh no, we're going to overlook that because they need to become more independent. No one ever says that. But if you're autistic and you physically can't do your cleaning, not because in this case you don't have the knowledge, but because of severe executive functioning impairment, which means you physically cannot do it because of the blockage in your brain, you're told that you need to learn how to do this to be independent. And so it's double standards, so because they can't see it, basically. They treat it as though it's completely different, like autism isn't a real disability, particularly if you could talk like I do. But luckily, one thing I can do, because I can talk, which maybe is the one benefit of being able to talk, is that I can use really strong language. And you know what? I did today. I was really pleased with myself. I said to him, I cannot do it because I'm autistic, and I explained to him why, and I said, I said, because I'm autistic, and I said, and if I don't get this, nothing will done, and it will be a health and safety issue. And likewise, I said, if I didn't get someone to do the benefit forms for me, I wouldn't get the money I'm entitled to, and I'd get into financial debt. And I emphasised those words. And you know what? As soon as I said health and safety issue, and I physically cannot do it, he started to listen. So thank you for watching.